The air in the library hung thick with dust, and the scent of aging paper, a fitting atmosphere for a pursuit that had captivated minds. For centuries, for generations, people have clung to the belief that the Bible isn't just a collection of stories. It's a layered text, concealing profound secrets within its words. The idea began to take root long before modern science, fueled by a yearning to understand not just what was written, but why. This fascination stemmed from a specific historical moment, the Renaissance. Humanism, with its emphasis on rediscovering classical knowledge and interpreting texts in their original contexts, sparked a revolution in scholarship. Suddenly, ancient writings weren't viewed as theological dogma, but as potential sources of wisdom and insight. Figures like Pico della Mirandola championed this approach, arguing that humanity possessed the capacity to unlock the hidden meanings within Scripture itself. The impulse to decipher wasn't simply academic. It reflected a broader cultural shift. People began to question established authority, not necessarily rejecting faith, but seeking a more personal and reasoned understanding of their beliefs. The Bible, once seen as an unquestionable source of truth, became a puzzle to be solved, a code to be cracked. But how did this intense focus on hidden meanings actually begin? It wasn't about simply reading the words on the page. It was about recognizing patterns, numerical sequences, recurring symbols that seemed deliberately embedded within the text. The search for these patterns wasn't born from faith. It arose from a desire to find evidence that the Bible held more than just its surface narrative. The initial attempts at decipherment were rudimentary, rooted in ancient practices like gematria, assigning numerical values to letters and words. This system, used by Jewish mystics for centuries, provided a framework for identifying connections between biblical passages. Soon, other methods emerged: numerology, which assigned symbolic significance to numbers themselves, and the observation of prime number sequences, remarkably present in Genesis. The discovery of these patterns was often exhilarating, like uncovering a secret message hidden in plain sight. But with excitement came skepticism. The question inevitably arose: if these patterns are so prevalent, easily found through various methods, how can we be sure they represent anything meaningful? It's tempting to see connections everywhere, to find confirmation for our preconceived notions. This is where the concept of confirmation bias enters the picture, our natural tendency to seek out and interpret information that supports our existing beliefs, while dismissing contradictory evidence. Just as easily as we might spot a prime number sequence in Genesis, we could just as readily find patterns in random text, creating an illusion of significance. The challenge then becomes discerning between genuine correlations and mere coincidence. Are these numerical sequences truly indicative of a divine message, or simply the result of chance occurrences within a vast and complex text? The answer, it turns out, is far more complicated than a simple yes or no. It's a question that has captivated thinkers for centuries, and one that continues to fuel debate today. The pursuit of biblical codes wasn't confined to scholarly circles. It permeated popular culture, fueled by a longing for answers in an increasingly uncertain world. The 19th century witnessed a surge of interest, with figures like William Fulke Albright proposing complex systems for interpreting biblical numerology, systems that were both fascinating and ultimately deeply flawed. These early attempts often relied on selective evidence and strained interpretations, highlighting the danger of imposing modern frameworks onto ancient texts. However, the foundations laid by these earlier researchers provided a springboard for subsequent investigations. The rise of hermeneutics, the study of interpretation, offered a more sophisticated approach. Hermeneutics emphasized understanding Scripture within its historical and cultural context, rejecting simplistic literal interpretations in favor of seeking deeper layers of meaning. It acknowledged that words carry different weight depending on the time and place in which they were spoken. This shift in perspective wasn't simply an academic exercise. It reflected a broader intellectual movement that questioned traditional authority and emphasized critical thinking. The Enlightenment, with its emphasis on reason and empirical observation, provided a framework for assessing claims about biblical codes, demanding evidence and rigorous analysis rather than relying solely on faith or intuition. Yet, even as the methodologies evolved, the core challenge remained: how to distinguish genuine insights from imaginative speculation. The very nature of language presents an obstacle. The words themselves are open to multiple interpretations, influenced by cultural context and individual perspectives. The ancient Hebrews didn't necessarily use language in the same way we do today, with precise definitions and standardized grammar. Consider the concept of symbolism itself. Biblical stories are rich with metaphors and archetypes, recurring themes that resonate across cultures and throughout history. A dove, for instance, often represents peace, but can also symbolize mourning or purification. Recognizing these symbolic layers allows us to grasp deeper truths about human experience, but it also necessitates a willingness to move beyond literal interpretations. Furthermore, the human psyche possesses an innate tendency to find patterns, a phenomenon known as pareidolia, seeing faces in clouds, or hearing voices in static. This psychological inclination can easily lead us to perceive meaningful connections where none truly exist. The same numerical sequences that appear in Genesis might equally be found in other texts, offering little beyond a sense of pattern recognition. Despite these inherent challenges, the allure of uncovering hidden meaning persists. It speaks to our fundamental desire for order and purpose, a need to believe that there's more to existence than what meets the eye. But is this desire driving us toward genuine insight, or simply leading us down a path paved with illusion? The question demands careful consideration, requiring us to approach biblical texts not as puzzles to be solved, but as windows into a complex and often mysterious past. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed a particularly intense wave of biblical code speculation, fueled by advancements in statistics and a growing fascination with esoteric knowledge. Figures like A. Wilder-Smith championed elaborate systems of numerological interpretation, arguing that the Bible contained hidden mathematical truths, a perspective that resonated powerfully with those seeking order and predictability in a rapidly changing world. Their work, while influential, often lacked rigorous academic grounding and relied heavily on selective evidence. However, this period wasn't solely characterized by unsubstantiated claims. Simultaneously, scholars began to meticulously examine the historical context of biblical texts, investigating ancient Hebrew culture, its numerical systems, and its unique worldview. They realized that applying modern Western assumptions to ancient texts could lead to profound misinterpretations. The very concept of time held different significance for the Hebrews than it does for us today. Cyclical notions of time, mirroring seasons and cosmic cycles, were far more prominent in their thinking. This realization shifted the focus from searching for external codes to understanding how the Bible communicated its message within that specific cultural framework. It wasn't about finding hidden messages waiting to be decoded, but about deciphering a language shaped by deeply ingrained beliefs and values. The question became less, what does it mean? And more, how did they understand it? Furthermore, the rise of comparative mythology offered a valuable lens through which to examine biblical narratives, recognizing that many stories, creation myths, flood accounts, tales of heroes, recurred across diverse cultures, suggested a shared human experience shaped by universal archetypes. The Bible, therefore, could be viewed not as an isolated text, but as part of a larger tapestry of human storytelling. Yet, even with this broader historical context, the debate over biblical codes persisted. Critics argued that these interpretations often prioritized patterns and connections over genuine meaning, creating elaborate narratives designed to fit predetermined conclusions. It was akin to constructing a jigsaw puzzle, where pieces are forced into place rather than fitting naturally together. The challenge lay in reconciling the desire for deeper understanding with the need for intellectual honesty, acknowledging the limitations of our own perspectives, and resisting the temptation to impose modern interpretations onto ancient texts. The search for hidden meaning, it seemed, could easily become a substitute for genuine engagement with the text itself. Is the pursuit of these codes ultimately a distraction from the core message of the Bible? Or does it offer a valuable way to stimulate critical thinking and explore the complexities of human belief? The 20th and 21st centuries saw a diversification of approaches, moving beyond simplistic numerical analysis towards more nuanced interpretations, often incorporating insights from psychology and semiotics. Scholars began exploring how biblical narratives functioned as symbolic systems, conveying profound truths through imagery, metaphor, and archetypal characters. The focus shifted from literal decoding to understanding the intentionality behind the text's construction. However, this shift didn't eliminate the controversy. New theories emerged, often relying on speculative interpretations and drawing upon fringe philosophies, a testament to the enduring human desire for grand narratives and definitive answers. Some sought connections between biblical stories and ancient Egyptian mythology, while others explored alleged links to Gnostic traditions, creating a labyrinth of competing claims. Crucially, this period highlighted the inherent subjectivity involved in interpreting any text, particularly one written millennia ago within a vastly different cultural context. Every reader brings their own biases, assumptions, and experiences to the table, inevitably shaping their understanding of the material. The code, if it exists at all, isn't an external entity waiting to be discovered. Rather, it's a product of the reader's mind, a projection of their own beliefs and interpretations onto the text. Furthermore, advancements in fields like cognitive science revealed how our brains actively construct meaning, often imposing patterns and narratives even where none objectively exist. The human need for coherence and predictability drives us to seek connections, sometimes at the expense of accuracy. This neurological insight offered a powerful critique of purely deductive approaches to biblical interpretation. Yet, despite these critical perspectives, the fascination with uncovering hidden meanings within Scripture remained remarkably resilient. Perhaps it stemmed from a deeper yearning, not just for knowledge, but for connection, a desire to find meaning and purpose in a world often characterized by chaos and uncertainty. The search for codes could be viewed as a metaphor for this fundamental human quest. Ultimately, the debate over biblical codes forces us to confront difficult questions about the nature of interpretation itself. Is it possible to truly understand a text written centuries ago within a radically different cultural context? Or are we forever constrained by our own limitations, our biases, assumptions, and cognitive tendencies? The pursuit of these answers may not lead to definitive conclusions, but it can undoubtedly deepen our understanding of ourselves and the enduring power of stories. The persistent allure of biblical codes isn't about finding definitive proof. It's arguably a reflection of humanity's enduring need for narrative structure and meaning-making. These searches, however misguided they may sometimes appear, serve as a testament to our inherent desire to impose order on chaos, to find patterns where none might exist, and to connect seemingly disparate elements into a coherent whole. Consider the alternative. Accepting the Bible solely as a collection of historical accounts, a record of events without deeper significance, can feel profoundly unsatisfying. The stories themselves are captivating, imbued with drama, morality, and profound insights into the human condition. The quest for hidden meanings merely intensifies this inherent engagement, prompting us to delve deeper into the text's layers and explore its potential interpretations. Perhaps the value lies not in uncovering a specific code, but in the process of critical inquiry itself, examining these claims, scrutinizing the methodologies employed, questioning the assumptions made, and evaluating the evidence presented, cultivates vital intellectual skills, skepticism, discernment, and an appreciation for nuance. Ultimately, the debate surrounding biblical codes highlights the complexities involved in interpreting ancient texts. The very act of translation, transforming words written in a vastly different language and cultural context into a form understandable to modern audiences, introduces inevitable layers of interpretation. Each subsequent reading inevitably reshapes our understanding, influenced by our own perspectives and experiences. Rather than seeking definitive answers, it's more productive to embrace the ambiguity inherent in these inquiries. The Bible, like any great work of literature, resists simple categorization or rigid interpretations. It thrives on multiple readings, each offering a unique perspective that can enrich our understanding of its enduring power. The search for hidden meanings may never yield conclusive results. However, it compels us to engage with the text in a more profound and meaningful way, prompting reflection on our own beliefs, values, and place within the vast tapestry of human history. The true treasure isn't found within the code itself, but in the journey of seeking, questioning, and ultimately understanding. This video has come to an end, but the discovery continues. Check out more content on the channel and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thank you for watching.